Starting off with Nintendo's first ever console back in 1977, the Nintendo TV game. We have to give this one a solid D, because all it is a glorified Pong machine, and even for its time, it was nothing amazing. It's just Pong, pretty much, with a few added features. But after that, though, Nintendo revolutionized the gaming industry in 1983 in Japan and 85 in the United States with the Nintendo Entertainment System, also known as the Famicom. I know technically those are different, but they use the same software and the same hardware pretty much. We gotta give this one a solid A, because the entire gaming industry might not exist today if not for the Famicom, and we had lots of fun with it. But its successor, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, we gotta give this a solid A+. It's debatably the greatest console of all time, at least for its time, because it had amazing technical abilities, but they were utilized by the programmers and the artists to make incredibly fun and long and immersive games. And I was a child of the 90s, and this was the system that every one of my friends played, and it was the defining console of our youth. First-party titles, third-party titles, it was just an amazing machine for its time. Solid A+ on that one. But Nintendo has screwed up plenty of times, and shortly before the Nintendo 64, they released the Virtual Boy, which we have to give a solid F-, because it was garbage in every way. It had no redeeming qualities. It gives you headaches and nausea. It had red and black graphics, and it was expensive. It was $179.99. What a joke. And even Nintendo knows this, and they joke about it today. But shortly after that, they released the Nintendo 64, which we have to give a solid B+. It's debatable. A lot of retro gamers are kind of lukewarm on the 64 because it marked the end of 2D gaming. And I don't like all of Nintendo 64's library, but I love Ocarina of Time just like everybody else. And that game was just mind-boggling for me and my friends back in the late 90s. And it just was such a moving experience. The greatest game of all time, everybody seems to agree. We gotta give the Nintendo 64 a solid B+. And it was such a cultural phenomenon that even like actual companies started making ocarinas after the one in Ocarina of Time. Moving into the modern era now, we've got a controversial system. People either love or hate the GameCube. It had no online capabilities effectively for its time, at a time when Xbox was revolutionizing online play, but it did have Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 0 and first-party titles like Wind Waker and Mario Sunshine, and it was absolutely fantastic. It's a hardcore gamer's machine. I absolutely loved it. But I can see how casuals were not so interested in it, and it sold mediocre. It is not the best selling that Nintendo ever had, but it's a great machine. The irony, of course, is that 6 years later, Nintendo decided to go a full 180 and make the next console for almost entirely for casuals. And I'm talking, of course, about the Nintendo Wii, which we have to give an A simply because it sold 101 million units. And it did have some good first-party titles, but so many casuals, which I personally wasn't into, but it did great. It was successful. However, its successor, the Wii U, did not sell so great. The Wii U has an odd controller with its screen controller design that I thought was bizarre, and I kind of hated it, to be honest. Nothing really amazing from first-party titles, just kind of standard Nintendo fare. It's a fine machine, nothing wrong with it, but it's safe to say that it was saved entirely by Mario Maker, which, to be fair, was funner than fun. I loved Mario Maker, it was a blast. But Mario can only save the console so much. I will say I did love Mario Odyssey on the Switch, which we have to give a solid A, because the Switch is doing fantastic. And Nintendo has shown that with its own style, it can hold up just fine against Sony and Microsoft, and I'm thrilled because I'm a hardcore Nintendo fanboy. Thanks for watching, and if you're a hardcore Nintendo fanboy like me, maybe hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.